What is MAC address? What is the difference between MAC address and IP address? And how to find out the MAC address of your machine or computing resource? MAC address, what is it? MAC, which stands for Media Access Control. Now this is the address like your house address, like your any other address. This is a physical address. This is embedded in your NIC, Network Interface Card. The number is fixed, it cannot be changed. And this go hand in hand with the IP address. Now if you see this network interface card, this is how you connect your system to the outside world. So this is the number I'm talking about. This is the MAC address already embedded inside the device. So this MAC address is 48-bit. So there are 6 octet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Octet means 8-bit. So 6 octet, every octet 8-bit. So you have 6 into 8, 48-bit. And this is very important to understand that this is a hexadecimal 48-bit number. Alright. So assume that there is a class and there are 2 students. Both are called Tom. So this is not unique. If somebody comes and he says, Tom, stand up, 2 people will stand up. But what about roll number 32 and 15? If somebody comes and says, oh, 32 roll number stand up, proper Tom will stand up. So this 48-bit hardware, this is already embedded in the network interface card while manufacturing. So this is the final identification of your computer. So there are 2 things, as I said, go hand in hand. IP address and MAC address. Both are needed to uniquely identify a system on a network or a internet. So this is your house. Assume this is your house. Now you have taken some service from some company, say router, internet service provider. So router will be provided an IP. You can also fix it, but most of the time the ISP fix it already. Now when you have this, say any kind of router, the packet is coming inside from the outside network. So this IP address can be 32-bit if you are talking about IPv4. It can be 128-bit if you are talking about IPv6. Now this packet is coming from the outside network till your router. But this IP is provided by the company. Alright. You are there, your wife is there, you are using YouTube, your wife is using Facebook. The YouTube packet cannot go to Facebook system. So how to decide that? That is, a computer has a proper MAC address. A computer or a laptop, whatever device you have. So the MAC address, once it is finalized, then the YouTube packet will go only to you and Facebook will go to your wife. So MAC is Media Access Control. Other names are also popular. Physical address, hardware address, or BIA, burn in address. Because this is already embedded, burned into your network interface card, which I am highlighting again and again. This 2 devices, as I just told you about Tom. So it is globally unique. IP, the difference between MAC and IP is this only. MAC is unique. So let me write a hexadecimal format of MAC address. So this is colon, but it can be a period, it can be a hyphen also. So we have first 3 octets, that is they can be separated by colon or a period or a hyphen. So we have 00, colon 0A, colon 95, colon 90, colon 67, colon 16. The important is in the IPv4 address, these are dotted decimal address. That is the values separated by dot are in decimal. But in MAC, it is hexadecimal. It can be separated by column, dot or say hyphen. So this is Please again understand it is 48-bit long hexadecimal number, but 32-bit is IP address or 128 IP address. So this, you can divide this address into two parts, one part, two part. So one part can be 24-bit, other part can be 24-bit. The first 3 octets from the left is OUI. The first 24-bit is Organization Unique Identifier. It can be Bell, it can be D-Link, it can be Cisco, it can be HP, whichever. This is Organization Unique Identifier. The next 24-bit are for the network interface card. It is vendor specific, the company specific. The MAC address or this kind of thing works on data link layer. If you talk about ISO SI layer, you have application layer, session, presentation, all these comes with network layer. Then we have the data link layer, just above the physical layer. So data link layer, MAC address. Network layer, IP address. So IP address, that is why it is router friendly. MAC address is switch friendly. Okay. For switch, it is MAC. For router, it is IP. This ARP protocol, why it is used? Very important thing, ARP protocol. Now you have a system or a machine. There is another system or a machine. Okay, maybe in same network, maybe in another network. Now you already have your IP and MAC. Now you want to start a conversation, send the packet. IP already, But how to know the MAC address? As I told you, IP and MAC both are important for the communication to actually take place. So in order to get the MAC, when the IP of other system is known, the ARP, this discovery packet is sent and a reply that is broadcast, and ARP reply will come that will give you the MAC. So this is a format of MAC address, media access control. These are 6 octets. So 6 sets are 48. So this MAC address consists of 48 bits. This MAC address is already embedded while manufacturing in your network interface card, right? So this is a 6-byte hexadecimal number. It can be separated by a colon, it can be separated by a dot, by a hyphen. Okay. So from first to third, the first 3 octets are used as the OUI. What is this OUI? Organizationally Unique Identifier, OUI. Which company is making it, manufacturing it? Already? So this MAC prefixes the first 3 octets. These are assigned or these are given to each organization or the vendor. It can be HP, it can be Cisco by IEEE. Alright? IEEE. So this first 3, there are certain known vendors. I can just highlight them. Cisco, it can be Google, it can be HP, Hewlett Packard, Huawei Technologies. So first 3, it can be identified by a specific vendor. This is a vendor. The first 3 octets will signify that. So as I already told you, it can be colon, it can be dot, it can be hyphen. The last 3 octets, what they are doing, these are network interface card specific or the vendor specific, and these are employed or used by the manufacturer to each unique NIC card they manufacture. Alright, these are the 2 parts, 2 24-bit part. One is OUI, the other is the NIC vendor specific. So manufacturers can use any sequence of digit to this NIC specific digits, but the prefix should be from IEEE only. So there are 3 types of MAC addresses which I am showing you. These are 3 types of format. It can be, these 6 octets can be separated by hyphen, can be separated by a dot, can be separated by a hyphen, dot, or the colon. Okay. So just for an example, this colon hexadecimal notation is employed by the Linux operating system. Let us take the period example. Period separated hexadecimal notation is used by the Cisco system. So this is how it goes like that. So you will find different MAC addresses in different format which are actually consumed by different operating system and made by different vendors. What is the difference between a MAC address and IP address? before we go ahead, this is an example of a MAC address, medium access control. This one is an IPv4 dotted decimal format. This is IPv6, which is again a hexadecimal but dotted 128-bit. So the first one, which is your MAC, is 148-bit, IPv4 32-bit, and IPv6 is 128-bit. So this IPv4, IPv6 IP addresses, these are dotted decimal or separated by colon with an hexadecimal. Alright. So this IPv4, you can see the decimal numbers separated by dot. But a 128-bit IPv6 is separated by colon and these are hexadecimal numbers. But the MAC address, they can be separated by colon, by a dot or by a hyphen. Okay. It can have three because it depends totally on the operating system, how do it consume, and the vendor specific it is. So just assume that this is your house. Now you have a router here. Now router works on the network layer. So here comes the IP. Inside that you are there. Say for example you're using some website and your son is playing some online game. Now the packets are coming from outside and they are going also. So they are going through and coming and going through this router. Now router means IP address, because the internet service provider has given that IP to the router. But how to get this website packets? How to get this online game packet? It is through NIC. NIC, that is the MAC address is embedded, and that MAC address will tell, okay, which packet has to go to which person. So IP combined with MAC will actually identify uniquely the system on the internet or the network. Okay. So this is IP, which is router specific. The MAC, which is the data link layer specific. It is more closer to the physical layer rather than the IP. IP is more closer to the, you can say, application layer. Okay. Now let us see one by one. Now IP, as I told you, it's more of a software. So this is how you open your settings, network setting in your Windows computer, and you can give your IP. You can give it. It can be obtained using DHCP. The 192.168.10.10. This is a class C IP. There are different class A, B, C, D, E. So this is a class of IP. So this is a kind of software you are giving it, and when you are on the internet, this internet service provider will give you some public IP. Okay, but MAC cannot change. It is unchangeable. So MAC address, it stands for media access control. Please remember, it is not medium access control. It is media access control. So this is working on the data link layer of the ISO OSI this scheme. Okay, this IP address, this is standing for Internet Protocol Address. This is a network layer protocol. IP is a protocol and IP address is way to execute it, is to way to implement it. Okay. So only people saying that IP address is uniquely identifying a system on a network or an internet, no. It has to be combined with the MAC address in order to uniquely identify. So MAC address is a unique address which is already provided by the manufacturer. It can be Cisco, it can be Google, it can be HP, it can be Huawei, Cisco. So this is a unique address. All the world, it is unique. There can be no two systems having the same MAC. So the first three part is actually OUI. OUI is the IEEE has given a specific number scheme to the big companies. These are the three first octet. The other three octet is vendor will give that number. When it comes to IP address, it is a logical address. That is it. See, internet service provider has given us ISP. So it is not a fixed number. You can also get it through DHCP. You don't have to, if you're making a LAN, then you have to give certain IP. But DHCP and other way, ISP will give you an IP, public IP. The MAC address, as I said, it is a physical address and it is used to identify a device within a network. But the IP address is doing the same thing, but it is a logical address. It is also identifying a network or device on the internet. Then MAC address, it operates on the data link layer, the layer just above the physical layer. IP address is network layer. MAC address represents the hardware because it is already embedded in the network interface card of your computer. IP address is more of a software which you see here. You can change it or you can get it through DHCP. So the IP address is more of a software. MAC address is a 6-byte hexadecimal address. So 6 byte means 6 8s are 48 bit, and these all 6 bytes or 6 octets are separated by a dot, colon or a hyphen. But in case of IP address, it can be 4 byte. In case of IPv4, it can be 16 bytes in case of IPv6. So 32 bit and 128 bit depending upon the IP version. The MAC address is a string of the 6 steps of 2 digits or characters, and it can be separated by a dot, it can be separated by a colon, it can be separated by a hyphen. So these are 6 octets. IPv4, this is a 32-bit address which I am showing you in the blue, and this is separated by dot, and these are number 192 and 49. These are all decimal numbers. But the IPv6, they are hexadecimal separated by colon. So these are the examples which I already showed you, that this example are the first 3 in MAC is given to the vendor, and last 3 are given by the vendor. IP address, this is an example of class A. If you talk about class full kind of addressing, then 1 to 127 it is class A, 127 to 191 it is the class B, 192 till 223 it is going to be class C, class D, and class E also has range, whereas class D is actually used for multicasting. Class E is for the future research. This is already there. IP also has a classless CIDR kind of addressing, which is a slash with a number that actually gives you the number of ones of the network address. Alright, so I hope you got the idea of MAC address and IP address. If you want to find out the MAC address of your system, it depends on your operating system. In Linux, it is quite easy. You just have to open the terminal and then you have to use ifconfig. What? ifconfig HWADDR hardware address is this one. And this is showing you the MAC address of your computer or system or your network interface card. If you are in Mac OS, then the version may change, but the system preferences or the first option can be system preferences, because you have to go to actual network point. From system preferences you have to go to network, and from network you have to go to the advanced. Once you click the advanced corresponding to the built-in Ethernet or network adapter, you press the hardware there and that MAC address will be shown to you, and this is the MAC address of your network interface card. In case of Mac OS, this is the way how you can find out your MAC address. If you are using a Windows operating system, that's quite easy. You already know how to get to the command prompt. This command prompt, CMD, you can use it through your, wherever you type in search, or you can just press Window and R and type CMD. Once you are on the CMD or the command prompt or command prompt window, you have to write get MAC. This get MAC can give you the MAC address. Your system can have multiple NIC cards. The other way is to write ipconfig/all. ipconfig/all and get MAC. Both of them are going to give you the actual MAC address of the system you are working on. So ipconfig all, where do you have to find? Wherever this physical address is given, this physical address is the NIC MAC address of your system. So I hope you have a fair idea of MAC address now. Thank you so much.